The circadian anomaly. When we think of highly intelligent people, we usually picture a highly disciplined early riser. However, scientists have discovered an anomaly suggesting that your terrible sleep schedule might be the byproduct of a massive, hidden intellect. When researchers mapped the sleeping patterns of thousands of individuals, including American Air Force recruits, they found a disturbing gap in standard human behavior. The data showed that smarter individuals naturally prefer to wake up much later. According to the standard model of biology, humans are wired to follow the sun. But in highly intelligent people, brain activity is so intense that it literally challenges and overrides the body's natural circadian rhythm. Your brain stays awake because it simply cannot power down. The divergent glitch. If you are left-handed, your brain operates completely different from the surrounding population. In 2003, researchers analyzing the behavioral patterns of left-handed and right-handed populations uncovered a biological anomaly. When tasked with combining entirely unrelated objects to build something new, left-handed individuals were vastly superior. Scientists traced this back to a mechanism called divergent thinking. It acts like a rapid-fire generator for new ideas, allowing the brain to spontaneously reorganize information and command its own cells to approach problems from entirely different angles. People who can use both hands with equal skill possess this exact same cognitive mutation. The anxiety loop. Between overthinking and intelligence, there is a terrifying correlation. In a 2015 study, scientists mapped the minds of 126 students, tracking how often they felt anxious or fixated on upsetting situations. When they cross-referenced this with written IQ tests, the results defied logic. The individuals who worried the most consistently scored higher on intelligence metrics. The anomaly is that anxiety is not just random panic. It is an incredibly high-functioning brain running advanced simulations. The comedy trigger. Throughout human history, biology has treated intelligence as a strict measure of logic and reasoning. However, an anomaly found at the University of New Mexico suggests a massive connection between raw intellect and a sense of humor. Researchers tested 400 students on their verbal intellect and then forced them to write captions for cartoons. An overwhelming 86% of the highest scorers generated the funniest material. When they tested professional comedians, the results spiked even higher. The curiosity drive. For decades, the story of human intelligence seemed relatively straightforward. You study hard, you get smart. However, a massive decade-spanning research project tracking 6,000 people uncovered a bizarre variable. The children who scored the absolute highest on IQ tests all shared one specific behavioral trait: an unrelenting, inquisitive mind. They grew up to be aggressively curious adults. The distraction phenomenon. Your brain is supposed to be able to lock onto a single task. However, scientists state that if you frequently lose track of conversations or get instantly distracted by your environment, your brain might be experiencing an explosion of uncontainable activity. The disturbing anomaly here is that an inability to focus is actually a marker of high intellect. The physical brain tissue is processing so much background data, generating so many simultaneous thoughts, that it simply cannot throttle the flow of information. You are easily distracted because your brain is running 100 different complex programs at the exact same time. The cognitive blind spot. This is arguably one of the most baffling anomalies in human psychology. It is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. When studying human perception, Cornell researchers discovered that the less intelligent a person is, the more they aggressively overestimate their own abilities. The reverse is true for high-level intellects. A highly intelligent person understands exactly how massive the universe of unknown information actually is. They are acutely aware of the blank spaces in their own memory and logic. Because of this, they are never afraid to admit when they don't know something. They realize their own knowledge is just a tiny drop in a colossal, unimaginable ocean. The impulse void. This is an anomaly that happens right here on Earth in laboratories. In a phenomenon known as delayed discounting, psychologists can test a person's absolute raw intelligence simply by offering them a reward. In a famous 2008 study, subjects were given a choice: take a small amount of money immediately or wait an entire year for a massive payout. The individuals who possessed the self-control to wait for the larger sum completely dominated the subsequent intelligence tests. The procrastination protocol. According to the rules of productivity, delaying work is a complete failure of discipline. However, psychological data proves otherwise. Scientists agree that highly intelligent people intentionally postpone their tasks, letting deadlines close in around them. Heavy procrastination acts as a trigger for innovation. The brain of a genius gets entirely burnt out from running in an overdrive state. By delaying a task, the brain forces itself to rest, reorganize its thoughts, and look at the problem from an entirely new dimension right before the clock runs out. Polyphasic reboots. When a normal person gets completely exhausted, their cells power down and they sleep through the night. But for an incredibly intelligent brain facing severe fatigue, it does something entirely different. Historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci practiced an extreme survival technique called polyphasic sleep, completely shutting down for just 20 minutes every 4 hours. A highly intelligent brain burns through its chemical energy at a terrifying rate because it is working so intensely. However, it requires a fraction of the time to regenerate. Just a 20-minute nap acts as a complete biological reboot, allowing the brain to wake up, rewrite its own rules, and tackle reality with a completely fresh set of eyes.